The next area that we want to focus on today is Audit Logger. So that's having the auditability of what's happening within Sage 300. And so what we've heard, we've had the Audit Logger module has been available for quite a number of years, and since early 2000s. But what we were hearing from Sage 300 customers is they weren't able to determine, if someone changed a bank account number on a vendor, or if someone deleted a batch in AR or AP or GL, or if someone changed a key configuration field, or someone ran a process such as clear history, then with standard Sage 300, they weren't able to see who carried out those tasks. So that's why we developed the Audit Logger module. And so just the key things that it does, when someone adds some data or changes some data or deletes a record, then Audit Logger will capture that, and it captures who the user is, their IP address, their Windows login, their Sage user ID, and the date and the time. And so it stores the data before and after they made the change, so you can see what change was made. And a really key thing is, with Audit Logger, we originally developed it using triggers in the database, and we found that there's some really huge limitations with that, so that we then changed it so that it sits inside Sage 300 within the Sage 300 SDK or API layer, so sort of as part of Sage itself. And so that's got a whole raft of benefits. So it's easier, well, it's more robust, it's more complete and comprehensive. It can capture deletes, which you can't with a trigger, but it also is easier for customers to use because it uses the Sage 300 field names. So it's got a whole lot of benefits. Just a few other benefits as well. So Audit Logger audits itself, so it's self-auditing. So someone goes and makes some changes to Audit Logger, then Audit Logger will capture that, and you can't turn that off. It's got sequential numbers, so it can actually, each time there's an audit log, it stamps it with a sequential number so that you can have confidence that the sequence of logs is valid. It covers most of the Sage 300 modules, and also the norming asset management module is integrated in with Audit Logger as well. All right, so we can just have a quick look at Audit Logger now, because it's quite easy to demonstrate because it's very simple from a usability point of view. So you'll see that if I log into another company, and you'll see Audit Logger shows up here under Admin Services. Oh, whoops, I need to choose the right company. So you see under Admin Services, there's a folder called Audit Logger. And so really the steps with Audit Logger, first of all, setting it up. So working out what fields you want to audit. And so that's very easy to do. So let's say if we come into AR, so it shows all of our modules here within Sage 300. Then if we come into AR, it breaks it into different groups. Then if we come into customers, periodic processing, setup, transactions. So here we've got some auditing set up on our invoice batches and invoice headers, invoice details, and also on our customers. So if we just so these are the different views within Sage 300. If we double click on customers, it now presents us with a list of the fields. And so here we can see them. So we've got where it says trigger audit, that means if someone changes that field, then it will record a log within Audit Logger. So we've got the group code. So that's really how you set it up, is what fields you want to audit. Then if we log in as a different user, if a user goes to a customer master file, changes the group code. So from a user point of view, nothing has changed. And then if we log back in as admin, so once Audit Log is set up, then it just keeps capturing the information that you've asked it to capture. So so if we now come in here to our Audit Logger inquiry, so we now can see all the different Audit Log events since the 1st of January. So we can see one here, a user called staff on the customer view, and the key field, the customer number is webcast. We can click on details, and it shows date, time, user ID, IP address, Windows, user ID, sequence number. We can see what field they changed. So from retail to WHL. And that's just showing us only the changed fields. We can also look at Audit Logger keeps a record of what all of the fields values were at the time that the audit log was written. So if we wanted to, we can see what the other fields were as well. Right, so in terms of accessing the information, we've got the inquiry screen, we've got the Audit Log Report, which just shows the same information as the inquiry screen, but it puts it out to PDF. And then we've got our document history. This is where you can come and look at a certain customer. And so this now shows us the history of what events have happened on that customer. So we can see on the 1st of March, someone did an update, 5th of November, 2020, 10th of November, and then today. And then we can look at the details of each of those. All right, so that's the accessing the information. So we've got different tools that let you access the audit log information. And then the last step in the process is the purging of the data. So a lot of companies keep their audit data for the current year and the previous year until the audit's been signed off. And then once that's been done, then they would export the data. So they normally run the report for the 12 months. And then they would, they normally save that as PDF and save it as Excel. So they've got both options, and then they do the purging, and that clears the data out. All right, so that's Audit Logger. So I guess a few key points with Audit Logger is, I mean, we've released it sort of coming up to 20 years now. So what we've spent a lot of time making Audit Logger consume the least amount of resources, so to make it as efficient as possible. And so we really hear very few issues where people have problems with Audit Logger. We think people sort of say to us, what impact does it have on the performance of Sage 300? And from the testing we've done, we find it's sort of around about the 2 to 3% impact. But one, it's very important with Audit Logger to be conscious or to consider what what fields you want to audit. Like the more fields so with any auditing system at all, the more auditing that it's doing, the more impact it's going to have and the more data it will capture. that's just a fact of life. So that's why we say to companies when they're putting an audit logger to just be, to put some thought into what are the key fields they want to audit, rather than just trying to audit everything. All right, so that's really, I think, all the key points on Audit Logger.